Alien woman finally finds her missing human husband after years of search. The sand was quiet beneath her boots as Captain Viral stepped onto the edge of the ruined outpost. Wind blew softly, carrying the scent of metal ash and the long fading echoes of war. She paused, narrowing her golden eyes across the broken structures and half-buried machinery. This was the last location mentioned in the intercepted signal. The last place he might have been. Her human husband, gone for 7 years. Viral had searched across 5 systems, chased rumors, through dead worlds, followed the faintest pulses of a voice she knew better than her own. Everyone had told her it was a waste of time, that no human could survive alone this long. But she never gave up, not on him. They had bonded on the day the stars aligned during the treaty eclipse, a sacred event among her people. Even though the human diplomats had not understood the ceremony's gravity, she did. And so did he. He had taken her hand in front of both species, declared himself hers, and she his. But then came the attack. The colony bombed the signal towers, crushed, and in the chaos he had vanished. No body had ever been found. Some said he was captured. Some said he died. But her heart had never accepted either. She had felt him still alive, still reaching for her across time. Now she was here. A hollow bunker ahead drew her attention. She stepped inside the collapsed doorway, boots crunching on glass and stone. Her hand hovered near her sidearm, but she did not draw it. The air inside was dry, quiet, lifeless. And yet, she saw something that made her breath catch. A small scrap of cloth half-tucked beneath a fallen crate. She knelt and pulled it free. It was worn but unmistakable. Dark gray, the color of his old uniform. The initials still etched on the corner. J.M., Jareth Marin. Her husband. He had been here. She rose quickly and scanned the room more closely. Scratches marked the far wall, a tally of days, perhaps, or messages to himself. The bunk in the corner was handmade, roughly shaped from plasteel and wires. He had made shelter here. He had survived. The tears came silently sliding down her sharp cheeks. She placed her hand on the wall, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Jareth, I came. I never stopped looking." A soft sound echoed from the lower corridor. Viral's head snapped up. She reached for her weapon, then hesitated. No enemy would approach so openly. She stepped carefully through the cracked hallway until she saw movement. A man crouched near an old generator, trying to coax it to life. He looked thin, his beard overgrown, his uniform patched and stained. But she knew, even from behind, even after all these years. She knew him. Jareth. Her voice cracked. The man turned slowly, blinking in the dim light. His eyes met hers. At first confusion, then disbelief, then something else. Viral. He stood slowly. His voice was rough and used, but unmistakably his. "Is it really you?" She crossed the space between them in 2 strides and threw her arms around him. His arms wrapped around her tightly, desperately, as if afraid she would vanish. "You're real," he said. "I thought maybe I had imagined you all this time. I thought I died." "No," she said fiercely. "You lived, and I came." He laughed softly, and then cried silent, shaking tears. She held him longer than she could remember ever holding anyone. Later, as they sat under the makeshift shelter and shared water and food, he told her everything. He had been injured during the raid, lost beneath the rubble, until scavengers found him. They thought he was valuable and kept him hidden, moving him from place to place. But he escaped, and then survived, alone, always hoping someone would come. "I kept your pendant," he said, pulling a broken chain from around his neck. It was tarnished, but the crystal in the center still held her family mark. "I talked to it, sometimes hoping you'd hear me." She touched the crystal and pressed it to her forehead. "I heard you, not with ears, but in my heart." They spent the night beneath the stars wrapped in old blankets with her ship docked nearby. He fell asleep against her shoulder, finally safe. And she stayed awake, watching him breathe, watching him dream. The next morning, as the sun rose over the ruins, she whispered, "Come home with me, Jareth. Let's rebuild everything they tried to destroy." He smiled, eyes full of light again. "Only if we do it together." "Always together," she replied. They left the desert behind, but never the love that kept them alive. Across wartime and silence, she had found him, and he had waited for her, and nothing would ever part them again.